In this lesson, I'll show you how to access the template and make your own copy. I've placed the template link inside the course resources, so you don't need to search for it or set anything up manually. Once you open the link, you'll see the template in Google Drive. Here's what to do. Step 1. Move your mouse over the template. Step 2. Click the three dots on the right side. Then, select Make a Copy. That's it. You'll see a confirmation message showing that the copy has been created successfully. The copy version will appear inside your own Google Drive. From this point on, you are working on your own copy. You can edit everything freely: text, images, layout, and sections. If anything goes wrong, or if you want to start over, you can simply make another copy. Take your time here. Once your copy is ready, we'll move on and start customizing it together. Hello everyone, my internet folks. Welcome to this course. In this lesson, we are going to build the very first part of your personal website, the Hero section. This is the section people see the moment they land on your site. So if we get this part right, your website will immediately look clean, professional, and intentional, even before we add anything else. And don't worry, everything we're doing here is simple, visual, and beginner-friendly. The Hero section has only 3 key elements: your profile image, your name and professional title, your social media links. These 3 things together are what create your online first impression. First, click on the profile image. You will see a blue outline appear. That means the image is selected. Now look at the toolbar above the image and click the 3-dot menu on the right. Choose Replace Image, then select Upload. Here you can upload your own headshot or any avatar you'd like to represent your personal brand. If you don't have a photo yet, no worries, you can come back and change it at any time. Next, let's update your name. Click directly on Can Masters and simply type in your own name. This can be your English name, your real name, or your professional alias, whatever you want people to recognize you as. Below that, change the role text. For example, Product Manager, Aspiring PM, PM UX Hybrid, anything that best represents where you are today or where you're headed. Now let's update the social icons. Double-click the entire icon row. Google Sites will open a panel showing all your social links at once. Paste your real links: LinkedIn, Instagram, GitHub, YouTube. Delete the icons you don't use. Google Sites will automatically display the correct icons for each platform. Super convenient. Click Update and you're done. And that's it. You've completed your Hero section. With just a few simple edits, your site already looks 80% more polished and professional. In the next lesson, we'll build your About Me section and shape a clear, compelling story of who you are. I'll see you there. In this lesson, we're going to customize your About Me section. This part helps visitors quickly understand who you are and how you work. We'll adjust the title, update the image, and rewrite the text in a simple and structured way. Step 1. Editing the session title. Click the About Me text at the top. You can change it to anything you like. For example, About Me, who I am, about myself. Just click and type. Step 2. Editing the main heading. Next, click the large heading. Replace it with a clear one-sentence description of yourself. For example, I'm a product manager focused on practical, structured execution. Or, I help teams turn ideas into products through clarity and collaboration. Keep it short and confident. This is your first impression. Step 3. Replacing the image. Now, click the image. Open the 3-dot menu. Select Replace Image, then Upload. Choose a photo that represents your style or personality. And don't worry, you can always change it later. Step 4. Rewriting your About Me text. Here's a simple 3-part structure you can follow. You can use this for any personal website. 1. Your background and strengths. I have experience in both technical and business roles, and I enjoy working with cross-functional teams. I focus on understanding problems, aligning communication, and turning complexity into practical solutions. 2. How you work. I take a structured approach to projects, breaking things down, creating clear roadmaps, and adapting as needed. I believe great products are built through learning, iteration, and collaboration. 3. A friendly invitation. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to connect or exchange ideas. Step 5. Editing the Contact Me link. Click Contact Me. Click the small pencil icon to editing the display text. Replace the link or change it to your email, LinkedIn, or any contact method you prefer. Click Apply when you're done. And remember to test the link. Great job! Your About Me section is now more personal and more professional. Next, we'll move on to How I Create Value, where you'll showcase your thinking and the way you approach product work. Next, let's move on to this section called How I Create Value. Before we start editing, I want you to pause for a second and look at the sentence right under the title, because this sentence is the core of this entire section. It explains how you want people to understand you as a product manager. I connect vision, strategy, and execution, listening to real needs, shaping clear plans, and leading teams to deliver products that give users and businesses true value. This might look like a long sentence, but it's actually describing a very clear workflow. Let me break it down for you. First, connecting vision, strategy, and execution. This doesn't mean you do everything yourself. It means you act as the connector, making sure ideas, plans, and real-world execution are aligned. Second, listening to real needs. This tells people that your decisions are not based on guesses or personal opinions, but on real user needs, data, and context. Third, shaping clear plans. Your role is not just to find problems, but to turn complexity into clear, actionable plans. Fourth, leading teams to deliver value. And finally, you don't just create documents, you lead teams to actually ship products that create value for both users and the business. Why the 3 blocks below exist? Once you understand that sentence, the 3 blocks below start to make perfect sense. They are simply explaining how you do this in practice. Discovery and research. This block represents listening to real needs. It shows how you understand problems, research users, and make sure decisions are grounded in real insights. Strategy and roadmap. This block represents shaping clear plans. It shows how you turn research into priorities, roadmaps, and a clear direction that teams can follow. Delivery and iteration. This block represents leading teams to deliver. It shows how you work with cross-functional teams, launch products, gather feedback, and continuously improve. When you start editing this section, one small reminder, this layout is built using content blocks, so the first click selects the entire block. Clicking again on the image lets you edit the image itself. Once the image toolbar appears at the top, you're in the right place. Choosing images with intention. When replacing these images, ask yourself one simple question. Does this image visually support how I create value? If the answer is yes, then you're doing it right. This section is not about listing skills, and it's not just an introduction. It's your way of answering one important question. How do you actually create value as a product manager? If this section is clear, people will naturally want to keep scrolling and learn more about your experience. Next, let's look at education and work experience. I'm going to explain these two sections together because they actually serve very different purposes, but they work best when people read them as one story. Part 1. Education. Set context, not competition. Let's start with education. This section is not about competing with other people's degrees. It's about giving context. Your education tells people what foundation you have, where your background comes from, and how you entered your field. That's it. You don't need long descriptions here. Degree, school, and time range are usually enough. If you're early in your career, education helps frame your potential. If you're experienced, it simply sets the stage. Your work will do the real talking. Once people understand your background, they naturally look for the answer to the next question. What have you actually done with that background? And that's where work experience comes in. Part 2. Work experience. Prove value, not list tasks. Work experience is not a job description list. It's evidence. Each role should answer 3 things. What problem were you responsible for? What actions did you take? What impact did it create? That's why bullet points here work best when they focus on outcomes, not tools or responsibilities. Numbers help, but clarity matters more than big metrics. How many roles should you include? You don't need to include everything. Show your most relevant roles. Show growth or progression. Remove anything that doesn't support the story you're telling. Remember, this is a personal site, not a full CV dump. How education and experience work together. So think of it this way. Education explains your starting point. Work experience proves how you create value. Together, they answer one question. Why should someone trust you with a product? Well, if these two sections are clear, people won't just read your site. They'll understand your journey, and that's exactly what a strong personal site should do. Next, let's look at the skills section. Before we talk about customization, I want to be very clear about one thing. This section is not about rating yourself, and it's definitely not about showing off. It's about communicating relative strength in a way that feels honest and professional. Step 1. How to access the embedded skill editor. This skills section works a little differently from normal text blocks. When you click it the first time, you're selecting the entire content block. Nothing will happen yet. That's expected. Now, click it one more time and you'll see a small pencil icon appear. Click that pencil and Google Sites will open the embed from the web editor. This is where the skill bars are actually defined. Step 2. Understand the structure. Inside this editor, you'll see 2 main parts. CSS styles, controlling how things look. HTML content, controlling what skills appear and in what order. You don't need to be a developer to customize this. You only need to know what to change and what to leave alone. Step 3. Customizing skill names. Let's start with the easiest part, skill names. For example, this line, Jira and Confluence. You can simply replace the tags Jira and Confluence to product road mapping, stakeholder communication, or anything relevant to you. This will update the label shown above each progress bar. Step 4. Customizing percentages. Now let's talk about percentages. This is important. Each skill has a percentage defined in 2 places. The number you see on the bar, the animation that controls how full the bar becomes. For example, 95%. This controls the text, and this part, at keyframes, Jira fill, to controls how wide the bar fills. These 2 numbers should always match. If you want to change a skill to 70%, update both places to 70%. Our professional tip about percentages. Avoid using 100%. When people see 100%, they don't think expert, they think overconfident or no room to grow. A good guideline: 70-80%, strong and reliable; 80-90%, advanced and experienced; 90% pros, core strength you use constantly. This makes your profile feel much more credible. Step 5. Customizing colors. If you want to change the bar color, look for lines like this, background and 9B dioph. You can replace the color code with your own brand color to match the rest of your site. This is optional. The default works perfectly fine. Step 6. Adding or removing skills. Each skill is one repeating block. To add a new skill, copy one entire block, paste it below, change the label, percentage and animation name. To remove a skill, simply delete that block. Nothing else will break. How many skills should you show? Less is more. I usually recommend 4 to 6 skills maximum. Focus on skills that support your positioning. This is not a keyword dump. It's a signal of what you're actually good at. So remember, the skills section is not asking, how many tools do you know? It's answering the question, what are you consistently strong at and trusted to do well? If this section feels clear and honest, everything else on your site becomes more believable. Next, let's move on to the portfolio section. This part is pretty straightforward. There's no custom code here and no complex setup. The main thing you'll be editing is the image. Step 1. Replacing portfolio images. To replace an image, start by clicking on the image once. When the image is selected, you'll see a toolbar appear above it. From that toolbar, click the 3 dots, choose Replace Image, select Upload, and upload your own image. That's it. The image will be replaced immediately. What kind of images should you use? Keep it simple. Good options include roadwork screenshots, dashboards, wireframes or prototypes, or any visual that helps people quickly understand the project. You don't need perfect visuals, you just need something that sets context. Step 2. Editing titles and bullet points. On the right side of each image, you'll see a project title and a short list of bullet points. This text is where you explain the project. Try to keep each project focused on what problem you worked on, what you led or influenced, and what outcome it created. Short and clear bullet points work best. How many projects should you include? You don't need a long list. In most cases, 3 to 5 projects is enough. Choose projects that support the role you want next, not everything you've ever done. How to think about the portfolio section. Your portfolio is not a gallery, it's proof. Each project should quietly support the story you've already told, how you create value, what you're good at, and what kind of problems you solve. So keep this section clean and focused. If someone scrolls through your portfolio, they should quickly understand, I get what this person does and why it matters. And that's exactly the goal of this section. Next, let's look at the language and interest sections. These two sections are very simple. There's no special layout and no custom code here. They're both text-based, and they're meant to add context and personality, not complexity. Let's start with language. This section is not about sounding impressive, it's about being clear and honest. List the languages you can actually use and describe your level in a way people can understand. For example, native, full professional proficiency, intermediate or conversational, If you have certifications like TOEIC or IELTS, you can include them, but only if they're relevant. The goal here is simple. Let people know how easily they can communicate with you. Small tip about language levels. Avoid vague words like fluent without context. Clear descriptions build trust, and trust matters much more than fancy wording. Now let's move on to interest. This section is optional, but when it's done well, it adds a lot of warmth to your site. Your interests don't need to be unique or impressive. They just need to be genuine. Good interests often show how you think, what you're curious about, or how you spend time outside of work. What kind of interests work best? Try to choose interests that connect loosely to your profession, or show how you keep learning and growing. For example, product trends, data-driven thinking, travel and culture, mentoring or community involvement. You don't need a long list. A few well-chosen items are enough. Why these sections matter? Language and interest won't decide whether someone hires you, but they do influence how people feel about you. They help answer questions like, can I work with this person easily? Do I understand who they are? And that human connection is often what people remember most. Next, let's look at the Contact Me section. This part is very simple and is not meant to be dramatic or aggressive. Think of it as a gentle invitation, not a call to action in a marketing sense. Step 1. Editing the button. To edit the button, click on the Contact Me button once. When it's selected, you'll see a small pencil icon appear above it. Click that pencil and you'll be able to change the button text and the link it points to. That's all you need to do here. Step 2. Button text. Keep it human. You don't have to keep the text as Contact Me. You can change it to something that feels more natural, such as get in touch, let's connect, or reach out. There's no need to be clever here. Clear and friendly works best. Step 3. What should this button link to? Here, you can decide what this button links to. In this example, I've linked the button to an email address using a mail to link. That's perfectly fine. However, I often recommend using a Google form instead. You can create a simple form and paste the form link here. Why a Google form is a good choice? Using a form gives you more control. It allows you to decide what information you want to receive, avoid long back-and-forth emails, and keep the page visually clean. Placing a full contact form directly on the page often looks cluttered and unnecessary. A single button keeps everything simple. How to think about this section? This button is not asking people to contact you. It's simply answering the question. If someone wants to reach out, how should they do it? If your site has done its job, the right people will click it. Once this button is in place, your main content is essentially complete. What comes next is not another section. It's the footer, which quietly closes the page. Alright, now we're at the footer section at the very bottom of your website. Even though it looks small, this part is actually very important. Because people who scroll all the way down usually read your content, feel interested, want to check if you're legit. So the footer really matters. 1. Download CV. Let's start with Download CV. To edit it, click once to select, click again to see the pencil icon. Click the pencil to edit text and link. I recommend prepare your resume as PDF, upload to Google Drive. Set to anyone with link can view, paste the link here. This makes your site more professional, easier for recruiters, faster communication. You're basically turning your site into a resume gateway. 2. Brand line. On the right, this line shows ownership, branding, personality. The coffee emoji adds a human touch. 3. Why footer matters. People use footer to check credibility, find contact info, decide if you're trustworthy. So a good footer, final trust layer. Before next lesson, upload your resume. Link it to download CV. Review your site. Ask yourself, would I contact this person? If yes, you're doing great. Alright, now that our website content is ready, let's move on to an important but very simple step, publishing your site. In this lesson, we're going to focus on one thing only, getting your site live. We're not buying a custom domain yet, and we're not doing advanced setup. Just publishing, clean and simple. Step 1. Click Publish. On the top right corner, click the Publish button. The first thing you'll see is the web address. This is the URL of your site. In my example, I'm using something like CanMasters, which gives me a URL like sites.google.com/view/CanMasters. You might be thinking, this URL looks a bit long, or it's not very pretty. That's totally fine. For job applications, recruiters, or hiring managers, this kind of link is more than enough. Our goal right now is not profession, it's visibility. Step 2. About, get a professional domain and email. Below that, you'll see a section called Get a Professional Domain and Email. This is Google promoting Google Workspace. If you're running a company or a team, this can be useful. But for personal portfolios or job searching, you don't need this right now. You can safely ignore this section for now. In a later lesson, I'll show you how to use your own domain without committing to Workspace. Step 3. Who can view my site? Next, let's look at who can view my site. I strongly recommend setting this to anyone. The whole purpose of this website is to let people open it instantly. Recruiters, interviewers, or collaborators. If access is restricted, they might not be able to see your site at all, so make sure it's set to anyone. Step 4. Search Settings. Below that, you'll see Search Settings. There's an option that says, Request public search engines not to display my site. At this stage, whether you check this or not doesn't really matter. Even if your site isn't indexed by Google, anyone with the link can still view it. So my advice here is simple. Don't overthink it. Leave it as is. Step 5. Publish. Once everything looks good, click Publish. That's it. Your website is now live. You can copy this link and start using it immediately. On your resume, on LinkedIn, or when applying for jobs. No custom domain required. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to connect a custom domain if you want a more professional URL. And if you don't plan to buy a domain, stopping here is completely fine. Alright, let's move on. Alright, now that your site is live, let's talk about domains. This step is optional, but it's something many people ask about, so I want to walk you through the process once, slowly and clearly. In this lesson, I'll demonstrate the domain purchase process using Namecheap. You don't have to use the same platform. The steps and ideas are what matter, not the provider. Step 1. Start with your first choice. I'll start by searching for my first choice domain. In my case, I'll type yvw.com into the search bar. Now, as you can see, this domain is already taken, and that's very common. Short, clean .com domains are often unavailable or priced very high, and that's totally okay. This is where many people get stuck, but we're not going to stop here. Step 2. Scroll down and explore alternatives. Instead of giving up, scroll down the page. You see a list of alternative extensions. At the very bottom, there's a section called Explore 400 plus additional extensions. This is where things get interesting. Clicking here lets you see many variations, different endings, different prices, and sometimes very affordable options. Step 3. Use filters to find practical options. One very useful filter is $2 or less. This helps you quickly find low-cost, practical domains. You're not looking for perfection here. You're looking for something usable, clean, and professional. Step 4. Choose a simple, affordable domain. After browsing the options, I'll choose vvw.digital. It matches and is very affordable. For most personal sites, portfolios, or job applications, this is more than enough. Remember, the domain doesn't make your work good, your content does. Step 5. Add to cart and review carefully. Once you add the domain to your cart, you'll go through a few checkout pages. Here's what I recommend. Keep domain privacy enabled. Use default contact information. Skip add-ons like hosting, email, or premium DNS for now. We're keeping this simple and clean. The total cost should stay very low, just a few dollars. Step 6. Complete the purchase. After confirming your order and payment, the domain is yours. You don't need a finished website yet. You don't need advanced setup. Owning the domain simply gives you flexibility for the future. I want to pause here for one important reminder. Buying a domain is not a requirement to get started. You can absolutely apply for jobs, share your portfolio, and move forward without a custom domain. This step is about clarity and confidence, not pressure. If you're ready, great. If not, that's also perfectly fine. That's it for this lesson. Simple, optional, and practical. Take what you need, skip what you don't, and keep moving forward. Alright, welcome back. In the previous lesson, I mentioned that using the default Google site address is completely fine. A link like https://google.com view your name works perfectly well, and you don't need to spend any money to get started. A custom domain is optional. It simply helps your site look more polished and professional, especially when sharing it with recruiters or clients. In this lesson, we'll connect a custom domain to your Google Sites website. If you decided not to buy a domain, you can safely skip this part and move on. But if you did purchase a domain, even an affordable one, this is how you connect it properly. I'll be demonstrating this using Namecheap, which is where I purchased my domain. You don't need to use the same provider. The steps and concepts are what matter, not the platform. Up to this point, we focus on customizing the template, content, layout, and visuals. Connecting a domain is simply the final layer that turns your site into a clean, professional web address. Inside Google Sites, click the settings icon in the top right corner. Then select Custom Domains. Since we already own a domain, choose Connect Domain. Here, Google asks for the domain information. On the right, enter your domain name. In my case, that's www.digital. After entering the domain, you may see this message. This domain is not verified. Please verify your ownership. Google will automatically redirect you to the correct verification flow. After clicking that link, you'll be taken to Welcome to Google Search Console. You don't need to search for this page yourself. Google brings you here automatically because it already knows which domain you're verifying. Then click Continue. Verify domain ownership via DNS record. Google will generate a TXT record for you. This record is a proof string that confirms you own the domain. Keep this window open, we'll come back to it. Now, switch to your domain registrar. In my case, that's Namecheap, but the steps are similar on any provider. Log in to your account. From the top menu, go to Account. Find your domain and click Manage. Inside the Domain Management page, switch to the Advanced DNS tab. This is where DNS records are edited. Scroll down to Host Records, then click Add New Record. Choose TXT record. Set it up like this. Host, add. Value, paste the TXT record provided by Google. TTL, leave it as default or automatic. Then click Save. At this point, the DNS record is correctly configured. Now go back to the Google Search Console window. Click Verify. If verification succeeds immediately, you're done. If not, that's completely normal. Your account, about DNS propagation, DNS changes are not instant. Even when everything is set up correctly, it may take time for the record to propagate. In most cases, a few minutes, sometimes a few hours. Simply wait and try verifying again later. Now that ownership verification is complete, let's go back to Google Sites. You'll see the same custom domain screen again. Here, I'll enter the domain once more, yvw.digital. This time, you'll notice there's a check mark, which means Google has already confirmed ownership. Now click Next. On the next screen, Google explains how to connect your domain to a third-party registrar. This is the final step. At this point, verification is already done. What we're doing now is telling the domain where the website actually lives. Google asks us to add a CNAME record. The instructions are very clear. We need to create a CNAME record with host, destination. This record tells the internet that should point to Google Sites. Now let's do that in the domain registrar. I'll switch back to Namecheap and open the Advanced DNS tab for this domain. Here, under Host Records, you can already see an existing record. In my case, it's pointing to Namecheap's default parking page. Since only one record should control, I'll remove this existing record first. Now click Add New Record and choose CNAME record. Set it up like this. Raw rate www.value ghs.googlehosted.com. TTL automatic. Then click the green check mark to save. At this point, the CNAME record is correctly configured. Now I'll go back to Google Sites and click Done. Google will check the CNAME record. If it doesn't connect immediately, that's normal. DNS updates can take a few minutes and sometimes up to an hour. Once the connection is complete, open a new browser tab and visit https. If the site loads, you're all set. If you see a brief security warning or the site doesn't use HTTPS yet, don't worry. SSL certificates are issued automatically and may take a little more time. To summarize the full process, verify domain ownership using a TXT record. Return to Google Sites and re-enter the domain. Add a CNAME record pointing to Google. Wait for DNS and SSL to finish. Test the final URL. Once these steps are done, your custom domain is fully connected to your Google site. If everything looks correct but the site isn't loading yet, don't panic, just give it some time. This is normal DNS behavior. In this course, we started from scratch and built a complete resume and personal brand website, step by step. You didn't just apply a template. You learned how to adjust the structure, content, and presentation based on your own background and goals, so the website can truly speak for you. If this teaching approach was helpful to you, you're very welcome to leave your honest thoughts or feedback. It really helps me continue improving this course and creating future content. Going forward, I'll continue adding practical updates to this course. One of the upcoming updates will cover how to build a bilingual version of your website so it can clearly present your profile to companies, recruiters, or collaborators from different language backgrounds. At the same time, I'm also preparing the next advanced course. It will still be built with Google Sites, but the use case will be very different. Around February, I plan to release a hands-on course focused on artists and creator websites. This course will place more emphasis on showcasing work, shaping visual identity, and turning your website into part of your creative presence. If the website you built here is resumes focused, the next course will feel more like an extension toward personal branding and portfolio-based presentation. The two courses are designed to be independent, but they can also work naturally together. Before we wrap up, I'd like to quickly show you one of the website examples that will be used in the next course. This example is also built with Google Sites. We'll work within its limitations and push the parts that matter as far as possible. In the Hero section, you'll learn how to create a dynamic visual entrance and purposeful call-to-action buttons so visitors immediately understand where to go. In the Artists and Creators section, the site can introduce not only individuals, but also teams or collaborators. With dynamic headings and clear role positioning, the page feels more focused and intentional. The Gallery section isn't just for finished work. It can also capture meaningful moments from your creative process, helping visitors understand how you got here. In Album Preview, visitors can listen to new releases and move directly to platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere you publish your work. This becomes a natural entry point for discovery and distribution. The Stories and Notes section can be connected to your blog or long-form content. Beyond sharing ideas, this is also an important part of the Google ecosystem for search visibility and long-term growth. In Contact Us, you can place your studio or business contact information along with a contact form, making collaboration or work inquiries feel natural and accessible. Finally, there's the Vault. Unlike the public previews earlier on the page, this section can host unreleased content such as demos, B-sides, or even podcasts. With continuous playback, it creates a deeper listening experience for people who choose to stay. This website example will serve as the main reference project for the next advanced course. The same tool, but a completely different direction. Thank you for completing this course, and I'll see you in the next one.